What's up, guys? Chris here to give my UFC 125 resolution afterthoughts. As usual, I'm going to be talking about this event on the radio show in about an hour's time, less than an hour's time, depending on when you see this. Or if you see it afterwards, you can always go back and check out the podcast. As for the event itself, gotta say, it's weird because I was looking forward to it. I said on my predictions for this video, for this event, I thought that it looked like a really good event on paper. A lot of good, really, really exciting fights outside of the main event. And it turned out to be the opposite, Most of the fights were pretty good here and there, Diaz-Kim was kind of not too exciting until the third round. Silva-Vera was much more one-sided than I expected, but in the main event, exceeded my expectations and lifted the event. Definitely made the event, great main event. But real quick before I get to that, on the undercard, real quick, Phil Baroni got knocked out by Brad Tavares. Baroni's probably going to be cut, and, his days of winning any big fights or anything is pretty much over. Dustin Poirier, I believe that's how it's pronounced, upset over Josh Grisby, big upset. Grisby was supposed to face Jose Aldo in this card for the UFC featherweight title. As we all know, Aldo got hurt. This was probably just a keep busy fight for Grisby, but Poirier upset him big time. Grisby just got run over. I'll give Grisby credit for hanging in there for all 3 rounds, going the distance, but more credit to Poirier for taking this fight on late notice and just going in there and running through Josh Grisby. Impressive performance for Poirier. It's going to be interesting to see who they match Jose Aldo up with next. Maybe Mark Hominick if he beats George Root, because Hominick has been looking really strong lately. And I also think that's a good stylistic matchup. Jeremy Stephens, Marcus Davis. These were all the prelims on Ion as well. Broadcast went okay. The audio was a bit off. You'd hear a lot of the replaying of the audio. It was almost like a CD skipping or something, and the audio was all over the place. But other than that, free fights, I'm not going to complain ever. Jeremy Stephens, Marcus Davis. Marcus Davis actually didn't look bad at the weight. I thought he would look bad at it. He didn't look too bad at it. He was actually doing pretty good in the first couple of rounds. Was controlling the fight with his boxing. Actually hurt Jeremy in the first round. But Jeremy, little Ethan Stevens, once again showed why he's one of my favorite fighters out there. Late in the third, he landed that big punch, hurt Marcus, dropped him, and finished him off with a hammer fist on the ground. And Jeremy just went to show, with that kind of power, you're never really out of a fight until the fight's over. So, good win for Jeremy. Davis probably going to get cut. On to the pay-per-view portion of the card. Clay Guida attacking away Gomi. I picked Gomi here. Guida, I don't know what was with that head movement in the first round. Moving his head and just hair all over the place. I don't know if he was just trying to not let Gomi get a good rhythm or distract him. Kind of throw him off his game plan with the striking. It worked. Gomi looked uncomfortable. He kept switching stances. He didn't really know what to do with that. Pawing a jab out, but never really landing that clean flush punch that he probably was looking for. And in the second round, Guida was able to get Gomi down, and Gomi was trying to get up, and Guida from the bottom, I believe it was, sank on a guillotine, or from the top, I don't remember either, from the top, and then he rolled and sunk it in, tapped out Gomi. So really impressive win for Clay Guida. I saw someone on a shirt right. He should fight Ben Henderson next. Guida, that is. Would love to see that fight. And even though he lost, I'd like to see Gomi against Jeremy Stephens. I think that would be a slugfest while it lasted. Moving on, we had Nate Diaz taking on Dong Hyun Kim. This fight went for the most part as I suspected it might. I wanted Nate to win. I thought Nate could maybe threaten Kim on the ground with the jiu-jitsu, but Kim showed really good submission defense. Kim was really tired in the second round, and the third round in particular. He's lucky that Nate got penalized for that illegal knee with the hand down. Otherwise, if he wouldn't have that respite, I think Nate would have finished him, because Nate finished that fight really strong. I actually thought Kim deserved the decision. I've heard people make a case for Nate. I could see Nate winning as well. I guess because Nate did more off his back in the second round than Kim did on top. I have no problem with the decision either way. But yeah, I don't know. Of course, as a Nate Diaz fan, I'm more looking forward to his next fight than I am Dong Hyun Kim's, because Kim, although he gets wins, he's just not that exciting of a fighter to watch, in my opinion. Next up, we had Thiago Silva, Brandon Vera. I actually thought this would be a more competitive fight. I thought Vera would do better on the feet. He actually did do good on the feet. To start all 3 rounds, Brandon Vera was getting the better of it in the exchanges. A lot better, too. I was surprised he was able to tag and was getting the better of Thiago Silva there. But Thiago Silva, first round, took Vera down, pretty much controlled him and positioned and controlled him, and realized that was his key to success. After the first, as each round started, he was losing it on the feet, would get Vera down and dominate him on the ground for the rest of the rounds, and the rest of the fight. And then the third round, he just absolutely embarrassed him. He was slapping him. He was kind of bitch slapping him. He was playing the drums on his back. I don't know. And then he completely just crushed Brandon Vera's nose. I mean, that was nasty. It looked like Rich Franklin Anderson Silva won. But yeah, impressive win for Silva. Vera, a huge letdown. I will not be surprised if he gets cut. I actually think, he probably, I don't want to say deserves to, but if he does, he hasn't done anything to show that he doesn't deserve to be cut. Let's just look at it that way. Even after the fight with the broken nose, he's clowning around like, look at my nose, look at my nose. Dude, you just lost. Don't be happy about it. You shouldn't be celebrating. You shouldn't be making fun of the situation. You should be pissed off, especially the way Thiago humiliated you, slapping you around. But I don't know. Anyways, good win for Thiago, bad win for Brandon Vera. Co-main event of the night: Chris Lee and Brian Stan. Expected a slugfest. We got it. Didn't expect that outcome. I thought Levin had the better chin and more firepower, but didn't prove to be the case. Stan caught him and clipped him. Maybe I shouldn't be so surprised though. Like I said in the previous Levin's previous fight against Akiyama, he got stunned. Akiyama's not the biggest hitter, so maybe Levin, all those wars, his chin or his ability to be able to absorb a punch is starting, dwindle a little bit, which happens to fighters. Anyways, though, Brian Stan clipped him and stayed on him, finished him off on the ground. The referee gave Chris Levin every chance he could continue or survive, but he couldn't. And Brian Stan gets a big win, the biggest win of his career, in my opinion. So hopefully, I believe he called out. Said afterwards he wanted to fight Vanderlei Silva next. I would love to see that fight. I think it'd be a good fight. Main event of the night: lightweight champion Frankie Edgar defending his title against Gray Maynard. Like I said, I didn't expect this to be that exciting of a fight, but it was, based off their first fight, kind of off that, based on the styles, but it ended up being a really good fight. Gray Maynard, as you all saw, I'm sure, absolutely crushed Frankie in the first round with a left hook to the nose, hurt him, and was just all over him. I mean, every time Frankie got hit, he was getting hurt. It was reminiscent in a way of a GSP Sarah 1, where Sarah clipped GSP, and GSP was just all over the place. The difference being that Frankie was able to survive the round, but man, I don't know how he was able to survive. Gray Maynard was all over him. Frankie was just scrambling, and like I said, every time he got up, he got knocked down. Showed a lot of heart, though, and obviously he was in great condition. If you're not in great condition as a fighter, there's no way you survive that kind of an onslaught. But just a devastating first round for Frankie Edgar, But second round, you wonder what Frankie's got left, if anything, and he comes out and starts playing his game as most expected, keeping on the distance, moving in and out with the quick boxing and a lot of movement. And he was successful. Gray Maynard kind of punched himself out. He even said so afterwards in the post-fight interview. He threw 90-something punches in the first round, going for the kill. Very reminiscent of Shane Carwin's first round against Brock Lesnar, where he punched himself out. But Frankie clearly won the second round. But then Gray got his, regained his stamina, or whatever you want to call it. I'm looking for a certain word or term, but I can't think of it at the moment. But anyways, Gray got his second win. That's what I'm looking for. And the third round was close. I actually thought Gray stole the round late, but it was a close round. Fourth round and fifth rounds definitely gave him to Frankie. I thought he used his boxing and his distance well once again. Was landing more shots. Was landing some pretty clean shots. Gray showed a good chin as well, because Frankie landed some pretty good solid punches. Although Frankie's not the biggest hitter at the lightweight division. But yeah, just a good close fight. At the end of the fight, the way I scored it, I had a 10-8 first round for Gray. And I also gave Gray the third. I gave Frankie rounds 2, 4, and 5. So I had it a draw. So when it was announced a draw, I was not surprised. I was not appalled. I thought it was a good decision. Afterwards, I was talking to some people, most notably Blue8183 on YouTube. He said the first round should have been 10-7. A lot of people were making the case for it. I went back and watched it, and yeah, I think you could make the first round a 10-7 round. Gray, it wasn't just one knockdown. It was numerous knockdowns. He absolutely had Frankie hurt and just dominated the round. So I could see a case for that, and thus I could see, Gray deserving the decision. However, the way I look at the fight, I think it was a close fight. I don't think either man established himself as a clear winner, regardless of the point system, so I have no qualms with the draw at all. Apparently, Anthony Pettis is going to get the shaft, or the short end of the stick. He was supposed to get the winner of this fight. It sounds like Dana White initially said that would still be the case, and then he changed and said the rematch is going to be next, so most likely we're going to get the rematch next, and ultimately we should find out who is the better fighter that night. You never know. But, great main event. Great way to kick off the year for UFC and MMA fans. And, yeah, really looking forward to seeing the rematch, it's hard to say who to favor after the way this fight went. But, want to hear your guys' thoughts on the fights. In particular, the main event. Who do you think won and why? Or are you cool with the draw? And who would you favor in a rematch? I would favor Frank in a rematch still. But you never know. After Gray can, obviously we've seen that Gray has the power to hurt him. That's it for now, guys. Like I said, Science Minds Radio Show, top of the hour. If you can't catch it live, you can always catch the podcast. I'll put a link in the information part of the video as usual, as well as a link to my Twitter. And until next time, guys, I'm out.